you want.
Oh, that's super cheap. $4.
Yeah, it's like they come in like a little tube, and it's enough to do like a couple keyboards worth of switches.
Okay.
Because you just use a little bit on the sliders for most switches.
Actually disassemble the
MX switches are pretty easy to take apart though. I actually use you can buy like a little tool to do it like in a fancy way, but I actually I use the pieces of a binder clip that I took apart and bent, because that works just as well. You just like jam it in the openings on the side and like squeeze them together, and the top pops off.
What other mods did you do to your MXs? Just lube them or what?
Lubricant and different springs.
Oh, that's right.
I used 72-gram springs instead of the stock ones that are like almost 100 to bottom out. It's actually what I'm typing on right now. Not at this moment, but like today.
I think my keyboard comes next month, or that was the estimated shipping date.
Probably.
That'll be nice. Right now, I'm using my my $12 Dell chiclet keyboard.
Nice. That's terrible. I guess the nice thing about that is you won't have to adjust so much to the shorter throw distance of those low-profile switches.
Yeah.
If you go from like a regular mechanical keyboard to one of those keyboards, it's kind of confusing at first because you have like half as much travel.
Yeah. Well, that's why I wanted a low travel one, because I don't like how this feels, but I like the short travel. And I also like the media keys, which my mechanical keyboard does not have.
Yeah, media keys are. You see, you just have to get a programmable keyboard, and then you can make it do whatever you want.
Yeah,
I think that's one of those. The one I bought, the X1.
I do love having volume up, volume down, and fucking calculator on my keyboard, because I can launch calculator with a single press of a button. I do it all the time.
It's amazing.
I mean, I have it in my my taskbar, so I just hit win and the number in it.
Too long.
it's two keys instead of one. You don't have it on like the top layer, do you? You have it on a function layer.
No, I have it. So the DSX has just 4 keys hanging out in the top right. Yeah, it's got 4 extra keys, and they're volume up, volume down, mute, and calculator.
I see. Well, once you get the alt, you're going to have to make some hard choices.
I'll put it on a layer.
Yeah. I played around with the because I have a control, the Master control, and I played around with their online configurator, and it's actually pretty good.
Doesn't it just use the standard one? The whatchamacallit?
No. It runs QMK, but they have their own layout editor.
Okay.
There are
other
ways. Yeah, there are other ways to do it, but I mean the official way is the way you're least likely to break anything, basically.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm sure that you could like install the dev environment yourself if you want to like do it all manually.
Well, I know there's a version of the configurator that runs on a GitHub repo that's visual and allows you to just configure each layer. And
yeah, I think you need to upload the JSON file for a layout to.
They have the layouts for everything at this one I was looking at. Let me find it.
Yeah, I know there are a couple like that. I didn't know of any that would have the alt or the control, because it's the wiring diagrams that you're basically adding. Because otherwise it doesn't know like how to tell which key is which.
Welcome everyone to the Keyboard Podcast.
Oh yeah, so are we live, or we're still just talking about keyboards?
We've been live. I said that.
I mean, look, I was talking about keyboards. I had more important things going on.
Yeah, this one's got everything. It's got all of the Rama boards, Preonix, Orthox.
Which site is this? I probably have it bookmarked, I would imagine.
Up in chat. I don't think anyone else cares.
Keyboardpolice.com. You put in the Twitch chat.
It's a chat. It's a chat.
Yeah. QMK is super cool though. Like you can do awesome things with it.
And I thought I remembered seeing the Mastrap ALT on this one. It might have been a different one. I'm pretty sure it's in here though. There it is. Yeah, Mastrap ALT and Mastrap control. I don't know why I say ALT. I know it's alt, but whatever, man.
You're weird. Okay, we could probably start the show and like actually talk about the things we're supposed to talk about. Unless people in the chat room would like us to just keep talking about keyboards, I'm happy to do that.
Nothing interesting happened this week, right?
There was nothing. There was nothing other than keyboard stuff, and
Ryan will talk about keyboards for as long as you let him. So
we can do a keyboard chat after show if people want to pay that they want to like join, get some
subscriber
more
only.
stuff.
Yeah,
subscribers only can listen to the keyboard after show.
That's the two bonuses when you give us monies. You get the Rhine emoji and you get the keyboard after show.
Yeah, that might actually drive people to cancel their subscription.
Just have to add another emoji.
Yeah, right.
I don't have the document open. Just do that.
Okay, so we all ready to go? Good?
Probably.
Sure.
Welcome to the Android Please podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Whitwam.
I'm Cody Toombs.
I'm Corbin Davenport.
And I'm Ryan Hager.
And this week, nothing at all happened. There was no news. Nobody announced anything. Instead of talking about phones this week, we're just going to talk about keyboards. No, I'm kidding. Of course, this was Pixel Week, so we're going to talk about phones, mostly Pixel phones, and some other Google stuff too. But we're going to start with phones. The Pixel 3 and 3 XL, phones that we have seen many, many times, are now official. Google can acknowledge their existence. And there were no surprises here. I think we knew what we were getting going in, and there was no secret third phone. Shocker.
Oh man,
I was so surprised.
Yeah.
I was able to write. I wrote like 90% of this post the day before the event.
Yeah. So I guess we didn't know what the pricing was going to be beforehand, and now we know, and it's pretty.
It's not good.
It's pretty high.
It's pretty high. So here's the thing. So the small Pixel this year, there's the regular Pixel 3, is $800, which is a lot. And then the XL is, but it's $100 more. It's $900 basically. And those are both for 64 gigabytes of storage. So this is like Samsung money that you're paying for these phones. And I realized, like, saying that if saying that $800 for a phone is like an okay number is going to sound weird, but here's the thing. Last year it was $650 for the Pixel 2, and frankly, the Pixel 3 is a way nicer phone. Like the build quality is substantially nicer, and you actually get like the tall display that fills the whole front, and it's a very nice panel. I feel like $150 more for what I think is a substantial improvement in the hardware is not outlandish. But at the same time, like, yes, $800 objectively is a lot of money to pay for a phone.
Yes, especially when it's $150 price jump. That scared me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, every phone is getting more expensive. I think it's getting harder to say, like, I'm not going to buy this phone because it's just too expensive. I'm going to wait for like the next cool phone, but like all the cool phones are expensive. Like, yeah. You could skip this and you could buy a OnePlus 6T, but that's still probably going to be between $500 and $600, and it's going to not be as good in several ways. Like, that's just the way it is. So I don't know. I feel like if you bought a Pixel 1 and you didn't buy last year, it is entirely reasonable for you to purchase a Pixel 3 this year.
And that's me. I'm
still Corbin, you should purchase a Pixel 3.
I'm going to wait for a sale.
I mean,
it's not like I'm going to get it.
So the sales on Pixels are so like mediocre. I don't know that you're really going to get it.
There's pretty good Fi deals historically.
Yeah, I'm hoping Fi is going to have some sort of sale in maybe like 4 or 6 months. Now the problem is that the past year or so they've done 0 deals on the small Pixel 2. It was only the XL. So I'm hoping that doesn't stay true, because I have no interest. I mean, I didn't have any interest in the XL for the past 3 years or 3 generations. I just like the smaller phones.
Yeah, I mean, if you're into smaller phones, like, I think the Pixel this year is a very good purchase, because the screen actually, it's fine. You know, it's a taller display. It fills almost the entire front of the phone. There's no wonky notch, and it's just like, it's a very cute little phone. But it's still 5.5-inch screen, which is the size of the XL from 2 years ago.
Yeah, but it's in a smaller overall package.
Yes, actually, I have both of the phones if you want to see like the size difference. That's the deal. So I mean, the small one is like it is a noticeably like more compact device to hold. But so there's a lot of controversy about the notch on the XL. There has been for months, but people, now that it's official, I feel like people feel completely justified in expressing their anger in a borderline inappropriate fashion.
I mean, I said on Twitter, I'm really done with people complaining. You cannot like it. That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but I really don't need 200 comments on every Pixel post.
Yeah.
Telling me how ugly the notch is. You guys are driving me crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the way Google designed this phone with the notch. Like, I think the notch just looks kind of dopey.
Yeah.
But I don't like hate it. It doesn't keep me up at night. I don't think that by itself is enough reason for people to not buy the phone. I mean, I've shown this to people, and they're like, it's fine. Like, they're just like, oh yeah, it's a little strange. Like, you don't usually see that on phones, even like now that notches are a thing. But none of them are like, oh, that's horrible, I would never buy that. Like, people who just buy phones don't care. People who are obsessed with phone design, like us, who like talk about it on a regular basis, we recognize that it's kind of weird.
Well, it comes from the fact that we actually use multiple phones. We're constantly picking up different phones throughout our day. When you see one that stands out so far from the crowd, your natural reaction is, oh wow, that's dumb.
It's the ugliest phone I've ever seen. I have no reservation saying that. I'm sorry. I think it's totally ugly.
Wait. Have you forgotten old Samsung phones?
I mean,
yeah.
I can't possibly. There are plenty of uglier phones.
Okay, you're probably right. It's the ugliest phone I've seen in at least the last 2 years.
It's the ugliest. It's the ugliest Google phone, I guess.
It's the ugliest new phone.
While. Yeah,
it's pretty bad.
It's king ugly for 2018.
Yeah,
what it is. But look, the display quality seems a lot better though. Brian, you played with both the phones under like pretty harsh lighting, so like
I did.
It was like, but like all I've heard is good things about the display.
Yeah, I didn't notice any unevenness problems. Granted, I didn't spend anywhere near as much time as I'm sure you have with yours, Ryan. But under bright lighting, they looked pretty good. I'd like to see them in dim lighting with like a really low gray value and see what uniformity looks like, because they are still an LG panel and that was a problem. But I don't anticipate it being as bad as it was last year.
Wait,
the brightness. I will tell you.
We think it's an LG panel.
Yeah.
I will tell you that from my usage thus far, it is better than last year. And uniformity wasn't a huge problem last time. At least like not compared to LG's other panels on the V30. Those were like really bad. But I can detect like a little bit of grain, like when I have the brightness turned all the way down. But it's not the sort of thing that I think most people will notice. I noticed it because I was specifically looking for it.
Well, there's a little grain on the Pixel 2 XL, and I found it to be just on the edge of bothersome. Yeah. It was fine as long as I was willing to temper my expectations. But
yeah. I mean, but like compared to the V30, it was way better.
Yeah.
But you could tell like if you knew what you were looking for. I mean, and it's even more subtle this time.
How's brightness for you? Because I noticed I think they only rated it 450 nits, which is a little concerning for me.
I haven't noticed any serious problems yet, but it has been very cloudy the last few days here, so I haven't had it out like under really bright lights yet.
Because 450 is not too bright. That's like the essential phone. Isn't that bright?
450 is like what you would expect for like a really bright like laptop display. But a lot of phones now are like near 1,000 or over 1,000 in some cases. So yeah, I guess it kind of depends. I'm hoping that it gets to be less cloudy outside soon, and I can try that. But yeah, I don't know for sure yet. We'll have to see. Let's see. So there are all sorts of camera things that are new. Some of which we didn't know about beforehand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
the camera app has an entire new UI. So it no longer has the separate video button that you have to tap or the one swipe. It has a row of options like the iPhone camera.
Yeah, and see that's something that really bugs me is everybody has adopted this iPhone UI now where like the words are all like the right way up when you're in portrait mode, but if you rotate the phone landscape like you should to take photos, the words are still, they're all the wrong way.
Yeah.
It just really bothers me. But yes, it is easier to select different modes now. You can navigate between them more easily.
And the hamburger menu is gone.
Yes, there's no more hamburger menu.
Nice.
So it does this this like focus lock thing. I don't remember if they had an actual name for it, but so on the Pixel 3, you can tap on an object in the viewfinder, and the camera will lock onto it, and focus will follow that as it moves around the frame. I tried this with my dog outside yesterday, and it did a surprisingly good job of following him while he ran around the yard.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Stop making me want a Pixel 3.
So okay, and then there was there's Top Shot, right? Which we knew about ahead of time. We knew that it was a thing. I don't think we knew like how it would work, but the idea is that it'll use machine learning to guess at what the optimal photo is, even if you didn't press the shutter button at quite the right time. So if when you press the button, something happened that like screwed up the photo, it could say, well, that actually maybe this photo from like, a third of a second before you press the button is actually the one you should use. So it's sort of like, it's saving these frames, and then we'll like suggest them if it thinks you need them.
There are a few catches when it comes to Top Shot, though. It's actually an extension of motion photos. So you remember how it would record a little bit of video before and after you take a photo so that you have the animation of the whole thing through. Top Shot is just that same thing done at a slightly increased resolution, and it'll pull stills from the video and combine a few of them to make a couple of HDR selections, but it's all a much lower resolution than the original
interesting.
photo. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, and then there's the low light mode, which had a name that I'm not remembering.
Night Shot, I think.
Night Sight. Okay. So this is available on the Pixel 3 now, and it is coming to other Pixel phones, I think, right?
Yes, but no date has been provided yet.
Right. So this is just like Google's crazy machine learning stuff to make photos at night look better. And the samples they provided were pretty impressive. And based on my limited testing so far of the Pixel 3, like it is pretty cool. It does surprisingly well in dark settings. But it's always it's always been kind of that way for Pixel phones. They've had very, very good low light photography.
Yes. Oh, and the camera finally lets you shoot in RAW, which that only took years.
Yeah. If you want to do that, I don't know, you're really going to get a lot of benefit from like a RAW photos taken on a phone. I would just trust Google's processing because it's pretty great.
Well, in general, you're probably not, if you're shooting with a smartphone, 9 times out of 10, you're not shooting it for something you're going to be like processing and sending out in a, we'll say, professional context. If you're shooting with a smartphone, you're probably shooting it to post on Facebook or like just to keep a memory. So yeah, 9 times out of 10, 99 out of 100, you're going to want just whatever the smartphone processing does. But RAW is there for those other cases.
Yeah, and it just means that the people who want it don't have to install another app, which I like. Also, I can't remember. I think the ability to scan QR codes is now in the camera as well as part of the Google Lens, I think. And that's something that really should have been in the camera like 5 years ago. But it's nice that it's there. So this is a nice camera update.
Yeah. And just FYI, apologies in advance. There's a phone somewhere in my drawer that is on and getting notifications, and I don't know which one it is.
They're from Artem. Have you read? You'll see.
Artem keeps pinging us.
I can't figure out which phone it is to turn it off, so we're gonna have to do that. I'm sorry.
I told him to stop.
So yeah, do we have any other camera stuff we want to cover? I think we can probably mention there are a couple other things that we didn't know about that we haven't talked about for weeks. So the new Pixels use F2FS for the file system, which is apparently very fast.
And was also supposed to be unstable, so it's weird.
Yeah, so F2FS, which try saying that really quick. It kind of launched on the Android scene a couple years ago. It was on the original Moto X and the OnePlus 3T and the Nexus 9, and it had issues on all of them. Apparently, if your phone powered off while it was writing data, there was a good chance that the data would get corrupted. So it's interesting that Google is now using it on the Pixel 3 when, as far as I know, there isn't another major OEM using it at this point. So I'm wondering, maybe Google made some improvements. Someone mentioned to me that Google hired the Samsung engineer that originally made F2FS. I haven't verified that, but if that's true, maybe they've done some improvements and made it less hazard prone. But yeah, we ran benchmarks on the Pixel 2 and Pixel 3, and obviously benchmarks aren't representative entirely of what you'd get on real world usage, but it is a good bit faster, especially in write speeds.
Especially in random write, it looks like that's an order of magnitude.
Yeah, it's a huge improvement there. So I'm guessing installing apps and those kinds of things is going to be much faster on the Pixel 3. Yeah, it's real fast, and hopefully it won't break the phone.
Yeah, data corruption, and I'm curious if there's any context where it also slows down a lot, because, you know, Samsung kind of has that reputation.
Well, Samsung's not using it on their phones.
Not anymore.
Yeah. So maybe they need to start using it. Use their own thing.
So the new Pixels, they also have gesture nav on by default. That's Google's new thing, and you actually can't turn it off. So there was some back and forth about this in the lead up to the announcement, because I forget which site, somebody had an interview with a Googler who
Android
said that,
Central.
like, Android Central, and they said, like, and somebody said in that interview that gesture nav would be the default and you couldn't turn it off, and everybody kind of freaked out. And then they got some sort of comment, or somebody did, saying that no, you would be able to switch back to the buttons, but that turns out to not be the case. It's gesture nav, and you cannot change to anything else.
Yeah, so people are very up in arms about this. The post on this currently has over 200 comments, so people are a little mad.
Yeah, I understand people being angry about this more than I do the notch, because this is, I mean, it's an adjustment for one, and new things are scary, but also there are some very obvious problems. I think Google's gesture nav, it has not changed significantly since they rolled it out at I/O in the developer preview then. So I mean, on the home screen, I think it actually looks nicer. I mean, it's very clean. There's just the pill button at the bottom. When you go into apps, you get the back button, which sort of just hangs out there over to the left. I like that Google at least made the back button more subtle. Like, it's not the giant filled in triangle that it was before. It's just the arrow line bit. So it looks nicer, at least. I just still think it's weird. It's asymmetrical, and I don't like that. Also, if you are going to use a third-party launcher, you will have that arrow button there all the time. I don't know if there's a way for launcher devs to say, no, I'm a launcher, I don't need the back button, but everything that I've tried so far still has the back button. So that might be annoying if you're going to use like a Nova or Action Launcher or something. And then when you're in apps, there's still the black bar at the bottom, which strikes me as profoundly stupid. If you're going to put gestures, if you're going to do gesture nav on the phone, you should do it in such a way that you don't need to have that filled in bar at the bottom, because it just looks bad.
Yeah, because there's no benefit to having a whole new navigational paradigm if there's no space being saved.
Yes. Yeah, it's bizarre. Okay, and obviously multitasking is a swipe up now, which is fine. That's not a big concern, I guess. You can get used to that pretty easily. And then you can swipe left and right on the pill when you're in multitasking to like zip through the apps, which I think looks really cool and is probably impressive the first time somebody uses it. But I don't think people are going to actually do it, because it's very hard to like zero in on the right thing.
It takes more. Like, you have to be very specific with your actions, which it's not fun.
it's like it's bad usability. Okay, and then so the biggest problem I have with it is the way the app drawer works. So when you're on the home screen, even if you swipe up from the app tray at the bottom, you still have to like swipe way high up because you have to go through multitasking to get to the app drawer. And it's just it's like you have to go so far that it's just half of the time when I try to go to the app drawer, I'm still just ending up in multitasking because I'm so used to just flicking the app tray to open the app drawer. And it's very, very annoying. I feel like Google needs to change that so that if you're on the home screen, just dragging up on the app tray should just go right into the app drawer. It shouldn't go through multitasking. You should have to drag up on the pill to get to multitasking. The upshot, though, is that you can open the app drawer from almost any app. Like if you're just, in your browser or whatever, and you want to like open a different app, you can drag up on the pill and you can get the app drawer without going home. So that's cool, but there are definitely ways to improve this. And I feel like making this not only the default, but removing the buttons is just kind of a dick move.
Yeah, I mean, I expected this because Google made it very clear that this is the way they're going forward. Not that I like it, but it was kind of expected that at some point they'd say, no, you can't go back. Just I'm
surprised that it's happening right away.
Yeah,
I thought they would at least give it a version, let people adjust, but I don't know. And I just feel like it's just not very good. Google, was maybe led astray by like user testing.
I think this is just a knee-jerk reaction to Apple did gestures and we need them too. Doesn't matter what they are.
Yeah, like 64-bit all over again.
But and then they were like, hey, we can't do the exact same gestures. Let's do a crappier version of it. That'll be good, right?
This is one of the instances where Google should have completely copied Apple.
Yeah, for real. Like they didn't do the Apple style notch or face unlock, but they were like, hey, what if we just do gestures and like we don't have, and like we'll just do it badly. It's fine.
Yeah, and not let people switch. Now, I do have to wonder if once people start getting their hands on the Pixel 3, if some workaround will be enabled. Because I assume the software nav is still hidden in the system somewhere because the Pixel 1 and 2 on Pi you can switch back.
Yeah,
so I wonder if there's...
Even if it's not there, I'm sure that there would be a way with root to, put the original nav bar back in.
Maybe not even with root. It might be like some really obscure
if you
ADB
like an ADB command. Yeah, I mean, if you can, if it's still there in some fashion, it can be turned on. People will figure out how to do it. But I mean, almost nobody is going to do that. That's just for the people who really passionately hate gesture nav. And as much as I dislike it, I'm probably not going to be one of those people. I'm just going to learn to live with it because this is the way of things going forward.
I'm kind of more curious because most like in the past, we looked at Nexus phones and thought, yeah, these are mostly enthusiast phones that are going to go out to developers, nerds, and people that kind of get change easily. This is still going to be on sale at Verizon. So regular people are going to be getting their hands on this phone. I'm kind of wondering if some of them might reject it. And if that happens, Google might kind of be forced into doing something a little different about it.
Yeah, we will find out. If people aren't happy with it, I encourage them to tell Google as much as possible. Like shame them on Twitter, because then maybe they would actually fix the mediocre gesture nav. We can only hope. Well, do we have any other Pixel phone things that we want to complain about before we move on?
Well, someone had a question in chat about the Pixel stand. Does it work in landscape? Do you have one?
Hold on, let me find out real quick.
Live breaking news.
Yeah. It appears to work, although the UI is sideways. So that's a sort of. It doesn't have a landscape UI for the.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so it works.
It charges, but yeah, it's sideways.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, that's sort of. All right. If there are no further questions, I guess we can move on.
It's shilling time.
It is. It's time to talk about Twitch, which is a place that you can stream video games and other things like this podcast. We stream on Twitch, and you should be watching us on Twitch. Because if you do, you can participate in the chat room. And your chat experience will be that much better if you subscribe to the podcast, which you can do for free if you are an Amazon Prime subscriber. You have a free Twitch subscription that you might not even be using right now. You can just subscribe to the podcast. It costs you nothing, and you help support what we do. We get the money. It doesn't cost you anything. It's Amazon's money. And we like Amazon's money. Because it spends just like other money, turns out. So yeah, if you just go to our page, there's a little drop down at the top. You can click subscribe. You can use your free Amazon subscription. You just have to connect your Amazon account to Twitch, which is kind of a pain. It'll take you a couple minutes. We apologize. That's not really our fault. That's Amazon's fault. But hey, you can give us Amazon's money to make up for it. So do that. It's twitch.tv/Android Police. And
real quick, someone mentioned in the chat that they want something to happen on the stream when someone subscribes. What if a notch appears on the video?
Oh my god.
We have talked about doing a thing that will happen.
It should be the notch, though. Pixel 2 notch.
So like the notch just has the person's name in it.
Yeah.
If that's feasible, I would like to.
I want to do that. I don't know if that's feasible or not, but I want to do that. If not, I'll add some kind of text somewhere.
It has to be feasible. It has to.
We're gonna make this feasible. But thank you, the H Zone, for subscribing right now. What we're talking about it. That's good. It's a good job.
I'm sorry, there's no notch for you. You'll just have to pretend it's there.
Yeah, but we're gonna definitely look into this. I think that's actually a pretty good idea.
And on the plus side, self-hiding notch.
Yeah, it just goes away.
It's true. Ours goes away.
Yeah. All right. So more Google things. There was the Pixel Slate. There was no Pixelbook 2. The only new Chrome OS device is the Slate.
That was very surprising.
Yes, I'm surprised that there was not just a minor refresh of the Pixelbook. But Google is going all in on this this Chrome tablet thing because Android tablets did not really work out. So
this is actually the unit I spent the most time with at the event because we split up. So
is the display life-changing?
It's pretty nice. I don't know if it's life-changing, but it gets bright. It's like, I know we were just criticizing it, but it's a 400-nit display. So in a phone, 400 nits is like, yeah, whatever. But in like a tablet or a laptop, 400 nits is pretty decent.
Yeah. And it's 3,000 by 2,000 pixels, which is crazy for a laptop. Like, it's a 12.3 inch screen with like that's so many pixels.
That's more than the Pixelbook, right?
Yes, and it's totally unnecessary. It does not need to have the resolution it has. I think Ryan's connections.
Yeah, I haven't heard robot from anyone in a while.
Ryan is a robot.
Ryan's dead.
Your internet connection may have. Well, I'll talk about the Pixel Slate some more. It's ridiculously thin. It's like 7 millimeters thick, which is not thick at all. I don't know if I even have a phone here that's 7 millimeters thick. The OnePlus.
It looked very thin in the leak.
It's incredibly thin. It's got just enough bezel that you can actually hold it without it getting in the way. I didn't actually have a chance to play with the stereo speakers, which is too bad.
I'm really happy about that.
Yeah. The only unfortunate thing about it that I found was that the price is a little high, and for some reason, people seem to be upset that there's a Celeron as the lowest end version, which, I mean, it's going to be one of the higher wattage Celerons. This isn't an Apollo Lake. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal.
I guess we don't know which Celeron yet.
No.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me better now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can.
So here's the thing. I think the problem is not that the Celeron is the base model. It's that the Celeron costs $600 without the keyboard.
Yeah. The keyboard should not be $200. And I would
have liked $200.
I thought it was. Wait, I thought it was 150. Is it 200?
Oh,
I think it's two. Yeah, no, the keyboard cover is $200.
Oh, fuck that.
And you saw the keys. They're these like.
they're like an iPad cover keys, like what
They're
you'd
like-
see on a keyboard from Logitech.
They're like a toddler's iPad cover keys. They're
they look terrible.
Yeah.
And for $200, give me a break, Google. That's ridiculous.
This isn't even this. Not even Microsoft charges that much. Come on,
Yeah,
guys.
so you're talking $800 for a Celeron-powered Chromebook with a garbage keyboard. I'm guessing that it's garbage, but it looks pretty garbage. And then the next step up, for $200 more, right? $200 more, you get an M3.
I think that all of the models should have had 8 gig base. 4 gig on the Celeron's ridiculous. I think that Celeron maybe should have been a little cheaper, or the keyboard cover should have been included.
The M3 should be the base model for $600. I could understand that, but making the M3 $800, you're talking $1,000 if you want to get the M3 with a keyboard cover. Like that's like the minimum anybody should consider. So the i5 is the version that I think people will want. That was the base model for the Pixelbook. It was an i5, right? It wasn't an i3 version, was there?
No, I don't think so.
So yeah, so the i5 is what people are going to want. That's $1,000 before the keyboard case.
I don't really think you need the i5. I think the M3 is more than fine.
I know.
Yeah, the M3 was great on my C302, but again, like the C302 didn't have like a 3,000 pixel screen on it.
I wouldn't pay that. Well, I think the GPU is going to be the same on these anyway. I don't think that because the M3 and the i5 we're talking about here are both going to be the same series part. The little 5 to 7 watt dual core.
I mean, but do you really want to? Do you want to be running Linux apps on an M3? Like,
I don't think anyone buying this are going to run Linux apps. I don't think.
I mean, then they're doing it wrong.
And so that's the other thing, is that I don't really see this in my head as a Chromebook, and I think that that's the wrong way to approach it. This isn't trying to be a Chromebook. This is Google trying to make the iPad Pro. It's a tablet.
I mean, then like it's way too expensive.
Yeah,
it's
when you
still
look at
way
the iPad
too
Pro
expensive.
prices, I don't know.
I mean, it starts at like $650, doesn't it? And that's like a pretty robust device.
Okay, here's my question. Now Ryan can answer this because he briefly owned one. Ryan, does the Surface Go have pen support?
Yes, it does. Ben briefly owned it. I still have it right here.
Oh, I thought you returned it. It was your tiny laptop of regret.
And really, why didn't you return it?
So that's another thing. This is the Pixel Slate does not come with the pen. You have to buy that for another $100.
Oh, this didn't come with a pen either, and it didn't come with the keyboard. I had to buy that as well.
But the keyboard's $100.
Yes.
See, man,
what is so magical about this keyboard that it has to be $200?
So I did use it.
I'm so confused by this trend everybody is on now, where they're like, "Hey, we're not going to like put a keyboard like in the box. You have to buy the keyboard separately." And I say this as somebody who usually takes like a mechanical keyboard with me on the road. Like, I don't like laptop keyboards, but I still want to have one for those instances when I can't connect a real keyboard. And it's just silly that you would have to buy one for $200 that is probably going to be garbage anyway.
And this is coming from the person who spends way more than $200 on keyboards.
That's true. So, I spend a lot. I spend a lot more than $200 on keyboards, but they're keyboards that I like.
So I did actually use the keyboard. I did like a typing test on it, and I was able to get, although it felt weird to use. The round keys, they feel weird. It felt so strange trying to find my way around the keyboard without looking. But I was able to hit 111 words per minute when I can usually cruise by at about 120, 125. So my error rate wasn't that much higher, and I wasn't that much slower. But it felt weird.
I've used keyboards with round keys before, and I did not enjoy the experience at all. So I'm gonna pass on the Pixel Slate. This is not a hard decision for me.
Yeah, if the keys had been square, it would have been a day one purchase for me. I would have been all over it.
Well, that's when you get the third party keyboard that whoever made that makes it look like a laptop.
Yeah, maybe.
But still.
I also want to point out it weighs 1.6 pounds. Like, this is a big tablet. You know, it's not a comfortable tablet, I think, to use.
This is not a Netflix in bed tablet, probably.
Yeah,
it's too big for that. It's
12 like, I think how heavy is the iPad Pro? Like the iPad Pro? Does anybody know?
I actually don't know. I can't imagine it weighs too much more because this is pretty svelte. It's pretty thin.
iPad Pro 12.9 is 677 grams.
We need that in American units,
versus
please.
721 for the Pixel Slate. Does somebody want to like do the conversion?
No.
Yeah.
You guys. It's 1.49 pounds, so it is lighter. It's not dramatically different.
Yeah.
But still, like,
but the iPad Pro is not a watch Netflix in bed type unit.
It's not.
Yeah.
That is. I mean, that's larger too. I think it's a bigger screen. So, and it's still lighter. Yeah. So I think this the Pixel Slate. I think that's not going to be a very successful device.
And it doesn't have a headphone jack.
It doesn't.
I didn't even know that at first.
I'm not too concerned about that because it does have 2 Type-C ports, which is pretty cool for a tablet type device.
But again, for that much money,
especially you can put saving argument doesn't apply here.
You can put the $1 headphone jack on Google. Come on.
Yeah. This is just Google being stubborn.
I kind of wonder how they're going to sell this.
They're not.
Obviously,
really, they're
not. But I am a little curious if they're going to be pushing these and maybe like even paying for premium shelf space in some stores. Like I think Best Buy lets them do that. You got to wonder, are they going to pay to make this as visible as possible and try to position it as, hey, you don't want an iPad? Use this. Come buy this instead.
I think a lot of Best Buys have that little Google kiosk where they have all of the Google products sitting out looking nice.
Mine does.
One other thing I should mention is that it's pretty laggy.
Oh, really?
We didn't get a ton of time with it. Again, I was mostly admiring the hardware.
Do you know which version you got to use?
No, I don't know which version I got to use, and we know that it's probably pre-production software at this point since they're not selling them yet. Yeah, but it was not super smooth.
Yes, and they've been doing a lot of changes to Chrome OS to get it working well on tablets.
They did not even give you guys one at the event, right? They just said they're going to send them out later. So we don't. So it's further from being available than the phones.
Yes. I don't remember if we got a date. I don't think there's a date. It's just sometime this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Pixel Slate, it's a questionable device from Google, but save up your pennies if you're going to buy one because it is damn expensive. So something that is much cheaper, you can get a Google Home Hub soon for just $150, less than the goddamn keyboard case for the Pixel Slate. So this was leaked ahead of time. We knew that this was going to be a thing. And so this is Google's first smart display, but it is different than the smart displays you have seen before.
Yeah. So we found out someone at Ars Technica, probably I'm assuming Ron, talked to one of Google's. I don't actually have it in the sheet, so I'm going off the top of my head, but
a Google engineer.
Yeah. So they talked to someone at Google, and Google said that the Home Hub.
Engineers near you. The first one is
that's my home Max. It just got triggered somehow. What is it saying? I can't even hear.
Something about St. Paul.
Hey Google, shut up.
So anyway, a Google engineer told Ars Technica that the Home Hub doesn't actually use the smart display platform that Google's been working on for like 2 years. What?
Read chat.
Oh, couple lines
I'm sorry, Ron. I said I assumed it was Ron. Okay. I don't have the thing in front of me. And yeah, for the people listening, Ron just said in chat, quote, someone at Ars Technica, quote, of course it is me, WTF. Yeah. So anyway, Ars Technica, Google told Ars Technica that it doesn't actually use the smart display platform that Google has been working on. It doesn't run Android Things OS, and it's not using one of the standard hardware platforms that Google has been giving to third-party manufacturers. It's more based on a Chromecast. So it's using Google's own hardware platform with different software on top, which is really weird because you'd think Google would want it to work like all the other smart displays.
Yeah, you would think, but apparently not. We also heard that apparently this device was at some point a fuchsia test device of some manner, or just like a piece of hardware that ran fuchsia according to the open source stuff. We do not have any reason to believe that it is still running fuchsia in any capacity. It's just, running some custom Google stuff that it seems to work similarly to the smart displays we've already seen, but there are some extra things. And it had, for example, that the home UI, I forget what it was called. The you can like swipe down
the
and
home
get the
view.
status. Yes, home view. You can get the status of all your smart home things, which is pretty rad.
Actually, all of that's coming to other devices by the end of the month.
Yes, we also heard that is going to be eventually deployed on other smart display things. But for now, that's just the home hub. And so, yeah, I mean, so it comes in like 4 or 5 different colors. It is a 7-inch LCD. There's no camera. Yep. Google apparently decided it did not want to creep people out any more than it already has. So, there's no video calling.
And it's deceptively tiny. We say 7 inches, and you think, oh, it's 7 inches, whatever that means. It's like this. It's so small.
I do really like is that the mint color? Is that what they're calling it? So aqua, the blue one. I really like that color. I want a Pixel 3 in that color.
Yeah, the white one is gonna be the one people buy though, the white and gray one, because that'll match anything, and you're gonna have it sitting out someplace.
Go for the aqua or the coral. What's wrong with you people?
I mean, are your walls aqua or coral?
No, and that's why I'm gonna get one of them.
Okay,
got a contrast.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, that's the thing. So this is, I think 150 is a really good price for this. It is substantially cheaper than the new Echo Show is going to be. And I think Assistant is substantially more useful than Alexa. So I'm interested in this, although I don't know where I would put it.
Well, it's so small. That's the advantage of it, is you can put this pretty much anywhere. Whereas with the other displays, you kind of need like dedicated space. This will fit almost anywhere.
I'll have to. Everybody's beeping tonight. None of our homes are quiet. There are all kinds of things happening.
My watt-hour measurements are done.
Oh boy, that's good. Oof. Ryan is very serious about reviewing batteries, in case people were not aware.
It's true.
Okay, so anybody else have anything they want to say about the Home Hub?
We don't know how the speakers are yet, really, and I feel like that's probably going to be the major sore point, because
I heard a quick demo and they weren't that bad. They were fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The issue is we don't really know how powerful they actually are.
Yeah, and they're sort of facing backwards, which is weird.
Does sound come out of like that bottom front area? Is kind of what I wonder. Like, are the speakers actually firing backwards?
I don't remember. I think it sounded like they were firing forwards, but I can't be sure.
Interesting. I wonder if maybe it does like that wall detection thing that the Home Max does, where it sort of knows when it's near a wall and changes the way it projects sound. That would be interesting.
I would bet not at $150.
Yeah. It would just be cool. If Google isn't doing that, they should do that. Okay, so Home Hub is a thing that you can pre-order right now, I believe. Yes.
Yes. And it will be in stores October 22nd.
Yes, and I'm sure that you're going to see this in your local Best Buy. Okay, and the Pixel Stand. This is something, again, that was leaked before the event. We knew it was going to be a thing. We did not know, I think, that it was going to cost $80. That is...
Yeah, it's...
Well, it seemed like pretty obvious it was going to cost something like that.
What is Ryan laughing about so much?
I'm laughing at an $80 wireless charger. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's $80 and it's not included with the phone when you buy it, which is kind of what everyone thought it would be.
And it's not even that fancy. You're thinking it's going to be an $80 charger with all of the design work that Google's been doing. It's going to be fabric, or it'll be something interesting. It's a plain white piece of plastic. Yeah. Google, $80.
Samsung.
Here is the charger, in case anybody wants to see. It has this weird like scalloped edge that holds the phone, which I kind of don't like. It seems a little. I would like to have like some sort of like surround that keeps the phone from like sliding around like Samsung's chargers. Frankly, this is just kind of a weird little device. I don't think it's worth $80. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Really quick for reference. Remember the Nexus 4 wireless charging orb? That thing came out at $60. And it was just charging.
That was at a time when wireless charging was a weird novelty.
Agreed. But at least this thing, I mean, this thing's not really doing that much.
Now, wireless charging is a thing people want. And for Google, like Google's first party wireless charger is a thing people will pay attention to. And they're like, $80. Like, that's just weird. I mean, it does. So it's a 10 watt. It's a 10 watt wireless charger. Like, that's what it does. But there's also an integration with your phone. It actually pairs with the charger and communicates over a signal that like piggybacks over the wireless charging signal. So it doesn't have NFC or Bluetooth or anything, but it still knows that your charger is your charger. So when you put it on there, you can tell it like, I want it to do like, I want it to show my personal calendar appointments, or I want it to show my Google Photos in a slideshow. And it'll know when it's on your charger and know to do that. So that's cool, but it's not, I don't think it's $80 cool.
Yeah. And
well, I'm still not clear. What is this doing where it's actually like different because of that charger? And when I say that, what I mean is, why couldn't it just be detecting, I'm on a wireless charger, let's do the same stuff?
Well, it's not just detecting that it is on, at least my understanding, it's not just detecting that this is a Pixel stand, it's detecting that it is your Pixel stand.
Yes. I can speak a little bit about this. I didn't talk to the engineer, but Steven did. There's some sort of communication that happens between the charger and the Pixel, literally over like the key charging method. So rather than talking directly through data, like the way that it charges I don't know, I'm doing a terrible job of this. It's like multiplexing a data signal in with the power stream so that it's able to recognize which piece of hardware it's been plugged into, if it's your Pixel stand at work or your Pixel stand at home, and in doing so, like, adjust the content that you see so you don't end up with personal photos showing up at work, etc.
Yeah. So like when you're at work, you could like set your phone down and it would just have that blank assistant UI, and when you get home, you put it on your Pixel stand and it shows like family photos or something.
I guess I'm really massively failing to understand why this couldn't have been done with a like 12-cent UFC chip. And
probably could have.
No, this is entirely
NFC reader.
This is entirely about Google saying, "Hey, look how cool this is. You should pay us $80 because this was really hard to do."
I mean, don't get me wrong. The price is too much for sure. I bring up the Nexus 4 charger purely because it's more showing that Google really is just okay overcharging for accessories like this.
Yeah,
there was no reason for this to cost $80.
I'm also irked that it's only 10 watts. Like,
yeah, that makes
sense.
sense.
Samsung's fast charging over wireless is 15 watts.
And Samsung's like $90 or $80 dock is where you can set the phone on it and it turns into a computer.
Yes.
So
the DeX dock. Like the regular Samsung fast charging dock is what, like $30?
Something like that.
And again, you can use the Samsung one from 2 or 3 years ago and it'll work just fine.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even have to buy the expensive Samsung fast charger because the Pixel only does 10 watts. You can get that on most cheap wireless chargers that use the Qi standard. So
I wonder if I can use, what I can do is I can finally use the wireless charger I bought for my Nexus 5. I can finally use that again.
Yeah, I actually have a box of old wireless chargers over here that I haven't touched for so long. I might as well just like plug them all in.
I think I sold my Tilt Vus and all those things. They're gone now.
I still have one of those someplace. I stopped using it because it's a dumb barrel DC plug, and I'm against those in general. But I think I still have it in a drawer.
Break out the whatever was the table that IKEA made with the little charging pad on it.
Oh, that's right. That was a thing for a long time. I'm sure it's going to be a bigger thing now. Like now that everybody's moving back to wireless charging, you're going to start seeing those again.
I can't wait to get my nightstand with a pad on it.
Apparently there is a Qi wireless charging accessory for my car that like you can like attached to the dashboard and it plugs into the car. I looked into that just out of curiosity, but I have to take the entire dashboard apart to install it, and I'm not doing
You're
that.
just leaving your phone on your dash.
Well, it's like in a little like compartment, but still, you have to take the entire like inside of the car apart. And it's ridiculous. I'm not doing that. But you shouldn't do that, and you also should probably not buy the Pixel stand for $80. Wait for that thing to go on sale. It probably will.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In 2 weeks, it'll be included with the phone when you buy it on Verizon.
Yeah, that seems like a thing that's definitely going to happen. Actually, I would.
Well, it should have happened already.
Yeah, it should not have been a pre-order thing. It should have definitely been a pre-order thing. And now that it hasn't been, that they're going to wait until like every major purchase has happened.
They will wait for 3 weeks or however long they need to wait to make sure people don't return their stuff.
Just like the Note 8 and 9. Once you get past a month or two, then they start plummeting. Yeah,
you can buy the Note 9 for like $850 now or something, or $879. It's coming down pretty quick. So that's the thing. There's also a new Chromecast. Google did not talk about this at the event because it is a complete snore.
I spoke to an engineer about it.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Did they have anything interesting to say?
Kinda. I was a little confused. So in the announcement that we covered, turns out that it didn't have Bluetooth support, right? That was the interesting.
There's no Bluetooth. There's no mention of Bluetooth anywhere.
Well, then that's even less interesting than I thought it would be.
But I spoke to an engineer and I was like, why does the new one have Bluetooth? Not knowing at the time that it didn't actually have Bluetooth support. And the engineer told me that not only was that not a very good question, not very interesting, but all of the Chromecasts have had Bluetooth and that there was nothing special about the Bluetooth in the new one.
But they only I think they only have Bluetooth low energy though. They only have the thing for pairing. You can't, I think they function as like a Bluetooth low energy client. So you can't connect anything to a Chromecast. As far as I know, I haven't done it.
Oh, is it just
research. It's like for pairing?
If you plug it in and your phone's like there's a nearby Chromecast to set up.
I assume that's what it's for.
I thought it did that over Wi-Fi Discovery via the network name, because when you plug in a Chromecast, it does a little broadcast for a local network.
It might be like for iOS or something. I'm guessing.
So this device is like a snore fest. But you know what is funny? Like Google posted this thing on their blog, like the design story of the new Chromecast. Like it needed to be a story that needed to be told. It's an incredible. It looks exactly like the old one, but it's like matte and it has a G logo instead of the Chrome logo. And you know what? You're going to plug it in behind your TV and you're never going to see it again. It does not matter what this thing looks like.
Yeah. And the only functional changes are that this can do 60 FPS at 1080p, and before it could only do 30. So that's kind of neat, I guess, if you're watching like video game footage on your TV. And it can also do multi-room audio. That's it. And I assume the multi-room audio will probably come to the other Chromecasts. I think. Maybe.
Speaking of multi-room audio, that is apparently a thing that's going to come to smart displays soon.
Oh, that's true. That was like the biggest omission at launch, is that there was no multi-room audio support. Rita was very upset that her JBL whatever couldn't be linked with her other speakers.
But that's happening. Also, as we mentioned earlier, home view.
Yeah, all of those features, basically everything that was shown off except for the ambient EQ, which is the sort of temperature matching for ambient lighting that the Home Hub has.
Right. I mean, that's because it has a color sensor on the front, which other devices do not.
Yeah. But everything else, the home view stuff for managing smart home, the improved photo ambient mode that shows you things from your Google Photos library, the improved device controls, that's a big deal. So the Logitech, do you remember how, or does anyone here own a Logitech Harmony other than me?
Nope.
So currently, if you want to use it via the assistant, you have to do the tedious, I want to talk to Harmony, issue the command to Harmony, and then you can do it. Yeah. And it's whatever, but it's at least
what Alexa people have to do for everything.
Exactly. And apparently we're finally getting the direct integration where you can just be like, turn on my goddamn TV, and your goddamn TV turns on. So
wow.
Yeah. Is that actually what you say?
That's what I'll do. I would like to
create a custom routine there. That's what I have to say to turn on the TV. That would be good.
Exactly. But yeah, I'm really excited about that because I love my Harmony. Between that and the Chromecast, I haven't touched a remote in, I don't know, 7 months, 8 months.
But
I love it.
Isn't the whole point of the Harmony that you have a remote for everything?
Not if you don't want one.
But isn't that the point? Because like if you're not going to use a remote, then you could just get like the Samsung.
Well, I mean, I guess it's like the point is to have one remote, but that one remote also plugs into Assistant. So if you have Assistant stuff everywhere, then you don't even have to.
It's great.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
I too will take your word for it.
I don't trust you at all.
It is difficult to trust Ryan.
It is true.
Yeah, he's not trustworthy. Actually, I don't know why I trust him. He just seems so excited about it. Okay, do we have anything else that we want to chat about this week?
No,
we're all done. So it was a pretty quick show for Pixel Week. Probably helps that we've known about these phones for 3 months.
Yeah, we've talked all this stuff to death so much. Yeah. It's been done.
But what we could speculate a little bit. What has been the most surprising thing to come from the announcements so far, in like your guys' opinions?
I said during the Q&A show that the Pixel Slate was probably the one I was most interested in, but that has now changed now that I know the keyboard costs $200. So
I think the shocking thing is how overconfident Google seems to be with their prices. I mean,
yeah,
people will pay a lot of money for phones because they really like their phones. Like, you carry your phone with you every day, all the time. You actually, if it costs a lot of money and you use it a lot, you can justify that. I don't know who's going to be paying like $1,200 for a fancy Chromebook tablet. That seems kind of weird.
And I mean, with the iPad Pro, you're still paying for the premium of having so many great optimized tablet apps.
Yeah.
But with the Pixel Slate, you're still stuck between poorly optimized Android apps and web apps, which are not going to be, most of them aren't tuned for touch. So I don't get it. I mean, Android apps on Chrome OS laptops are nice because you can make the windows the size of a phone, so the apps act how they would on a phone. But on Chrome OS tablets, it just makes all the windows take up the full screen, unless you do like a split screen. You have like a Chrome window open on one side and an Android app on the other. But you're still going to be running into almost every app is not made for tablets still. And I think everyone kind of hoped that would change when Chromebooks added Android app support, and it hasn't. Developers still don't care. Slack is still terrible on tablets and Chromebooks, and almost every other app.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that it's entirely clear to developers yet, and obviously some of them know it, but I think a lot of them just don't even realize that that's a factor. Like, they're not considering a whole lot of their base coming in as Android apps on Chromebooks.
Yeah, and there maybe in like the Play Store analytics, it's not telling them these people have Chromebooks. I imagine it's probably just telling them like these are people that are using a big screen. So that might be part of it.
Right.
I know that at I/O they had they had a whole talk that was just about designing Android apps for Chromebooks. So at least some developers should be aware of it. The ones that are more engaged with, Google's direct messaging.
And they've been working with a couple big apps. Like we covered Adobe Acrobat on the Chromebook. You can now sign documents and stuff with the Pixel Book Pen, which is neat. But
that was the biggest disappointment during the presentation. They said, we have partnered with Adobe, and I was like, oh yeah. For Acrobat, it's like, I don't fucking care.
What, you don't sign PDFs on a daily basis, Ryan?
I was like, oh, are we finally getting Photoshop that's decent on Android?
If they actually announced real Photoshop for Chrome OS, I would I would just be overjoyed to the point that I couldn't even like write the article. I would be so ecstatic. I'd be shaking because somebody who doesn't care about this so much needs to write this because I'm freaking out right now.
It'd be so great. Oh my god! I would.
No, there was I forget who wrote it, but there was a report that said Adobe is working on actual Photoshop for the iPad, and if we go by the timeline that it took Adobe to bring Lightroom on the iPad to Android, we're looking at maybe 5 years.
Optimistically.
Yeah. So maybe by the time Chrome OS has been replaced by Google's other OS, we'll get Photoshop.
You can install the Linux version of GIMP on Chromebooks, which is okay. You can hobble along with that. I feel whatever. Well, you
okay? Ryan used it one for you. That's not
so. Like, I think that for Photoshop to happen on a Chromebook, like Google would have to like make special allowances, and I don't think Google wants to do that.
I feel like they should, for my benefit. For me personally,
Yeah.
They should do that.
Yeah, that's what the $200 keyboard goes to. It's funding the development of Photoshop.
Or even if Google just made like a basic like useful image editor for Chrome OS, like if they just released something that could like crop and resize and do like basic like color edits on photos, that would be so great, Google.
Yeah. Well, I've been saying that for forever, that the major arguments against Chrome OS, which is no Photoshop, no video editor, that Google has made zero effort to fill it.
Yeah.
So I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, it should just be part of Google, like Google Drive. There should just be photo and video editing, like bundled in there.
That would be nice.
Somebody recommended Pixlr in the chat, and yes, that is a thing you can use. People use it. I think it's horrible. I hate it.
It's okay. Yeah, it's not great.
I think it still runs in Flash, doesn't it? Does it?
I don't think you would be able to at this point, because now Flash is like you have to enable it, I think, every time you go to a website. Or if it's not completely disabled in Chrome by now.
I think Ron says that yes, it's Flash.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I think most of those the online photo editors are unfortunately Flash.
Oof. It is rough.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hi there. Yeah, we're not quite sure you have Flash Player installed in your computer. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's Flash. It's terrible.
Oh dear.
They have this pleasant little message when you try to launch it without Flash, though. They're like, hey, you should install this terrible thing.
Please enable the security hole in your web browser for us.
Yeah. That is bleh.
What was that?
That was a notification.
We're getting every notification on this show.
So I guess one last thing before we split here. Somebody asked in chat, and I guess we could talk about it briefly. The Razer phone.
Oh yeah, that did happen. That's a thing. It's pretty similar to the last one, but like glass, wireless charging, water resistance, and they did some other. Oh, and the glowing logo. There's an RGB logo. That is enough reason to buy it.
Most important reason.
And everyone in the comments complaining or not complaining, saying, "Oh, this is so much better value than the Pixel." They're still going to buy the Pixel.
Guys, if you want to, like, I'm not like, if you want to buy the Razer phone too, you buy that phone. You enjoy that glowing logo. Frankly, I think that's the coolest thing about it.
I mean, the 120 hertz refresh rate is pretty cool too.
You know what? That does, like, so I don't have the new one yet. I had the first gen one, and like it does look really cool, but it also destroys your battery if you keep it on 120 hertz. I think it shipped set to 90 because that was slightly less terrible for the battery.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like this thing is, like, a lot of mobile games are capped at 60 frames per second. So the 120 hertz screen is just kind of like, you know, it's just a gimmick, I think.
I think the glowing logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has 8 gigs of RAM, somebody says with Rhine face. Yes, it does. And I'm sure that looks real nice on the spec sheet. I don't think that 8 gigs of RAM is necessary on Android if the phone is properly optimized, or if you're Artem because your phone is defective all the Artem needs to buy like the best versions of everything because everything he buys is defective. So like that sort of compensates when it starts to fall apart. It has a little bit more headroom, you know, when it starts to slow down. But for regular people, I think you don't need 8 gigs of RAM on Android. I think even 6 is not necessary.
One day, someone will make a phone for Artem. The day hasn't happened. The day hasn't come yet.
The Sega's V Squared is because you can put two SD cards in there.
Yeah,
and it's going to ship, I'm sure, any day now.
It wasn't going to have like 2 845s or something ridiculous.
No, that was the other vaporware phone.
The Turing phone that fit a fake. That was like the super fake one. The Sega's phone is only fake in that it is run by incompetent people who can't ship a phone. They weren't outright fraudsters. But yeah, no, I think that Artem should just pine for that phone, maybe.
Yeah, the Turing Cadenza.
Yeah,
it had 2 Snapdragon 830s.
Sounds like a piece of furniture.
It's 830, a chip that never existed,
and a 60 megapixel back camera. It's definitely real.
Yeah. All right then. So I think we're going to wrap it up for the week. It's just a reminder, everybody, that we stream the podcast on Twitch every week, and that is where we interact with the chat. So if you want to yell at us, you have to do it in the Twitch chat. Also, while you're there, why not use your free Amazon Prime subscription to subscribe to the podcast on Twitch? Because that gets us money, and it costs you nothing extra. So you should definitely do that. We will definitely, if we see you in the chat room, subscribe. We will mention you by name and talk about how handsome and smart you are.
It's true.
Like MJJM Beeve, who I hear is a very smart and handsome person.
It's true. I've heard the same.
Oh, and also Jan Solo 242 is like well, you guys, there's so you have to give me more time.
Slow down your subscriptions now.
We can't compliment you this fast.
Like Jan Solo 242 and Lord of the Bushes. You guys are both very attractive, I hear.
It's true.
Yeah,
this is a rumor. It's coming across the wire.
Yeah, it's hearsay, but I'm willing to accept it. Okay, so that's good. We're happy that people are subscribing. And so we'll see you guys next week.
Goodbye, everybody.